are going to help you jump into the digital humanities. If this is your first time interacting with digital history, these are two fantastic places to start. But also, it's just kind of good information to know. So if you are in the middle of a research project or if you're about to start one, these are two fantastic resources for you to really get started. So once again, just a little bit more about me. If you never got to visit me when I was working at the Balch Library, like Laura said before, I do have a PhD from George Mason University. That's why I was up there to begin with. I got my bachelor's and my master's at the University of Southern Mississippi, so I moved up to Virginia to complete my degree programs. And I have an emphasis on digital humanities and early American history. I worked at the Thomas Balch Library for 5 years. Like I said before, it was a fantastic opportunity. Go visit them. And I'm currently an independent scholar of Virginia Loyalists during the American Revolution. My dissertation was on loyalism in the Old Dominion. That is also a fascinating topic, and I'm in the middle of completing my manuscript, so maybe you'll get to hear a little bit about that more one day. But I kind of switched gears this semester. I went from working at the University of Southern Mississippi, where I was teaching digital humanities and digital history to undergraduate and graduate students. And I was given an offer I could not refuse from an independent educational software company called School Status. If we have any K through 12 educators in the room, I'll be more than happy to talk to you about it. It's a really cool tool for parent-teacher communications where we run statistics on students to make sure that they're doing better in their classrooms. So that's kind of where I am right now. So I'm pretty sure Win isn't on this, but Win, I miss you if you are. That's where I've been. All right. So before we even get started, what is digital history or digital humanities? If you've been paying attention to kind of the history world, digital humanities is kind of our new buzzword. You'll hear digital history or digital humanities being interchangeably. Interchangeably. You'll probably hear it referred to as DH more frequently. So if you're ever hanging out on Twitter or Facebook and you're in the middle of a historical conversation, if someone brings up DH, they're usually talking about history or the humanities. But at its core, digital history is an academic field concerned with the application of computational tools and methods to traditional humanities disciplines such as literature, history, and philosophy. That also includes religion, that include some social sciences as well, use digital humanities such as anthropology, and sociology. But that is an extraordinarily vague definition of digital history or the digital humanities. The reason why is because DH is really a huge umbrella term for so many ways that we can use computer and software to really engage with historical or humanity styles topics. There If you would like to build maps one day, that's digital humanities. If you're interested in creating statistics about a historical community or town, that's digital humanities. If you're interested in even just organizing your data on your computer and you aren't necessarily interested in displaying anything to the world, that's still digital humanities. It's any way that you can organize, share, or research a topic using computational tools or methods. So, because digital humanities is so big, if you take a DH course at a university or if you join in on little talks like this today, we'll probably narrow it down to one or two topics, which is why I'm talking about Tropy and Omeka today. Whoop, come on now. Whoop, there we go. All right, so we are going to be talking about sorry guys. What did I tell you about Murphy's Law? Okay, so we're going to be talking about my two favorite DH software today. So, both of these software were created at the Roy Rosenzweig Center for History and New Media at George Mason University. Yes, I know that probably means that I have a little bit of preference from these two because they were created from where I come from. However, regardless of whether or not I worked at the Rosenzweig Center, I truly believe that these two software are so user-friendly, and they're fantastic for anyone who's wanting to get started in DH. So, don't mind that I come from those places. But Tropy is this incredible software that I'm actually furious was not available when I was doing my dissertation research. This is actually relatively new. It came out within about the last 2 years, if I'm not incorrect about that. I know it had been in beta for a while, but it's really a file manager and an image manager for archive photos, document collections. So if you go into an archive and that archive allows you to take photographs of their collections, you end up taking pictures either with your camera or your phone. They end up going into My Documents or your computer or whatever file manager you have. And sometimes that's really difficult to organize, especially if you're taking multiple images of one item. Say it's like a huge item or it's multiple pages. Sometimes it can get difficult. You'll lose track of where you are. Entropy is this incredible free file manager that you can download online. And of course, look, I have the download URLs and I forgot to put them in. It's okay because I'll have them up in a second. But it's a fantastic way to organize these images and also add on metadata. So information about that item can be placed on top of it. So you don't have to have an image document up and then a corresponding Word document where you're putting all the cool information in. So we'll definitely go over that in a second. And the best part is its difficulty level is easy. Tropy is the most user-friendly software in digital humanities that I've ever used. So if you're interested in basically organizing your genealogical or historical research, Tropy is your answer. Omeka. Omeka, there are two different kinds of Omeka. One is called Classic and one is called Omeka S. I specialize in Omeka Classic, and it is a content management system. And if you don't know what a CMS is, if you've ever worked in something like WordPress or Drupal, it's basically a dashboard that builds a website. And so Omeka is a website builder. So if you were looking to have maybe a family website where you put up historical genealogical information on that website, it's pretty fantastic. But I will say Omeka, if you have never used a content management system before, I think it's a relatively easy software to use, but I've also been in this business for a while, so that's probably an unfair that's probably unfair to say. But it probably the difficulty level is moderate. The good news. Oh, look, see, there go. The town of Leesburg is saving my life. They're putting those download URLs in there, and I'll show them later. So if you see that in the chat. Um, but anyway, so the beauty of Omeka is there are a lot of forums online. So if you decide that you want to play around with Omeka, if you know how to type a search into Google, you know how to figure out Omeka because there's so many fantastic answers on there to help you. All right, so once again, we're going back to Tropy. There's a little icon in the bottom right. The beauty of Tropy, mostly for me, is the idea that you get to store metadata on top of the item, or on the image or the document that you have taken. What's great about that is, like I said before, you don't have to have a Word document up next to it. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of metadata. So if you've never seen that word before, that's okay. It's another kind of technical jargon. Metadata basically is defined as data about data. So if you have ever written a citation before in a document, if you've used Chicago Manual of Style, if you've used APA or MLA, all of that little information that goes into a citation is defined as metadata. So it's the title, the author, the year, where it came from, who was the publisher. That in all is basically what metadata is. Now it's a little bit more complex than how I just said it, and I'll show you in both Tropy and Omeka how to fill out metadata. But it's definitely, don't get too freaked out by too much DH jargon. But what's also great about Tropy is, say if you have created a Tropy archive, so you've uploaded a bunch of family photographs, or if you've done a bunch of research and would like to share it with a colleague, as long as the person you would like to share your information with has a Tropy download on their computer, you can share Tropy files. So if you have just scanned and uploaded into Tropy, say a family photo album collection, and you'd like to share that with your sister or brother, all they have to do download Tropy and you can send them all of those files at once. Same goes for my historians in the room. If you and some of your colleagues are studying a similar topic and you've already been to an archive and your poor friend doesn't have the time to go to one, you can share your information with them if you would like to. I know sometimes historians like to keep their info with them, but if you're feeling like sharing one day, Tropy will allow you to do that. Okay, Omeka, you'll notice at the bottom I have a big warning here. So Omeka is publishing what you want to put online. So if you want to put like a family photo album collection online to build like a family website, or if you're a small museum or a historic site and you have some cool collections that you would like the public to see, especially in the time of COVID right now where a lot of places are shut down, but you are interested in sharing these materials with the public, having a website isn't a bad idea. However, this does come with a warning. Before you publish any items online, if they are not yours, so if it's not your private collection, please make sure that you have permission from the original source, library, or archive. I know it's kind of funny that I'm talking about Omeka and publishing things online because if you visit the Balch Library, they actually do have a no photo policy unless you have gotten some kind of special permission. So you shouldn't be taking photos in there to begin with. But if for some reason they are allow you to take a picture of something, before you publish that online, please get their permission, or you could get into a little bit of trouble. We don't want any cease and desist letters from lawyers. We're all too busy for that. So let's avoid that headache and really just make sure you have permission before putting these things online. Okay, so we're about to get started with the tutorial. If you have any questions, if you think you'll have any after the presentation, the one thing that I do as an independent scholar, I constantly answer questions from the public. So if you have any questions about Tropy, if you have any questions about Omeka, or even, I don't know, about any other software that you're interested in, such as mapping or statistics, please feel free to email me. And that's my email right there. It's Stephanie@schoolstatus.com. You can also tweet at me if you're on Twitter at SAS _Walters, or you can just ask the Balch. The Balch still talks to me, I promise. So if you need to get in touch with me, tell Laura or Brian or Alexandra or someone, say, I'm looking for Stephanie, and they will get you in contact with me. Nora will help us out too with that. All right, guys, so let's get started. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this screen. All right, so, and then I'm going to share again. See real quick. Google Chrome, come on. Ah. All right, can you guys hear me again? Okay. All right, let's try this again. I may just have to share it this way. That's okay. And of course, there's like a little bar. Let me get around that. Okay, you go to tropy.org. All right, guys. So if you go to tropy.org, the very first thing that you'll see when you get here is a download button. Now mine says download Tropy for Mac because I'm on a Mac. If you log on a PC, it'll probably automatically aggregate as PC. But if not, you can open it up and choose which download that you want to do. So this will download directly to your computer, and it will basically open if you have like any Dropbox applications or if you have like Microsoft Word applications, it's just going to pop up like that. So I'm going to scroll down. Like I said before, guys, Tropy is magical. I seriously wish this is something that was available when I was doing my dissertation research, but for my book, it's been very helpful. But Tropy, what it does is it turns your photos into items. And
Stephanie, we're not seeing your screen if you're sharing something.
seriously? Oh my God.
Sorry. It's
No,
just a gray square.
no, 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 no.
Boo.
Yeah, I keep saying share. Let me see. Do, do, do. 1 second, guys.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Hey, that's why we block out 2 hours for this, right? So there's always time to figure out
I,
what's
I,
going on.
I will say thank you to everybody who was on top of letting us know you can't see. So
Yeah, appreciate
very helpful.
that. Yeah, because I can't see y'all's comments, but Laura and Nora can, so they can stop me at any second. Um, okay. This is weird because when we did the test run through, it gave me the option for Tropy, and now it's not
Um,
giving me that option.
make sure that your privileges are still good.
Yeah, they should be good. It let me share the first time, so
Okay, we're gonna try this. Well, I don't want to do that. It just
Laura, you knew I was going to be the one to cause you trouble.
it's not just you, Stephanie.
What
We
that is
should
angry. Ah.
right, right. Boo boo boo. You should be good. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh no, yeah, give me 1 second because I want to try something real quick. I wish you could just share your whole screen. Does WebEx have a way to do that, Nora or Laura?
So in the share, yes, I think. Let me do this real quick.
Okay.
Um,
Everybody just hold tight, get yourself a beverage or a snack real quick. If you need to re-up your coffee, we'll be back in 2 seconds.
so when you're looking at the shared screen, which you can't right now,
Yeah,
in the shared content box, does it have like
it's
a left-hand column with your screen,
yes.
and then it has what you can select?
Yeah, and it's not giving me the options for Tropy or even Chrome, which is weird.
That's very strange. And you only have one screen?
Yeah.
Mm,
It's
let's do
okay.
this. I'm gonna cancel and then give you the privileges back, and we'll see if it changed, just in case re-upping it
Okay.
makes a difference.
Let's
Any
see.
thinking about it?
Oh, are you just seeing my screen now? Huh, now you see my
Yes.
email.
Now we can just see your screen.
Now you get to
It's
see
very
my
pretty.
email for 2 seconds. Here is my beautiful Mac. Okay, guys. Hopefully this affected Laura. Stay on for 2 seconds. Let's see if I pull up Tropy. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yay! Okay, everyone. See?
Success.
All right, that
Thank
is
you.
the first rule of digital humanities. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong, folks. So if you don't have a lot of patience, digital humanities may not be for you. Because stuff like this happens all the time. This is actually way more nicer than just sharing each individual screen. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up my Chrome real quick. Okay, we can see this. Here is Tropy. Sorry, guys, about that. But I promise it'll be well worth it because Tropy is brilliant. Like I said before, I'll back up a little bit since you guys weren't seeing this when I was going through. When you go to tropy.org, you'll see this screen right here. And you'll see there's going to be a little download button. Mine already says Mac OS because that's what I'm on right now. If you come in on a PC, it'll automatically say something like PC. But if not, you can do the little pull down button and download it for Mac, for Windows. whatever platform you're currently using on your computer. So if you scroll down, oops, sorry guys, don't know what that was about. So if you scroll down, you start to see all the different options that you have for Tropy. I love that they start with the American Revolution. Thanks, guys at CH&M. But this is a way to basically better organize all of the files that you have on your computer. Here's what I was talking about earlier about metadata. You'll even see there's a little metadata tag. I'm going to bring you guys through an actual Tropy platform in a second so you can see exactly what it looks like. But on top of the files, you can go ahead and add what the title is, who is the creator, the date, description. You even have the ability that if there is something in here you would like to add, you can actually change the metadata. So you can add something in here. So if you didn't want date, but you wanted like date range, you could be able to change that. But it's really cool because it's saving all of this important information on top of the image or inside of the image that you have uploaded into Tropy. And if you've ever been to multiple archives within a couple of weeks, this is just beautiful because it's a way to not lose that important information, especially when you get to the end of a massive written work. You may be confused as to, well, what file folder did that come out of? Well, if you saved it in Tropy, you know. And of course, it's not just for written documents, it's for images as well. So if you research things like posters or if you have photographs, this is a great place to put it in. You can annotate images or transcribe them directly in Tropy. It really is a one-stop shop, guys, and I absolutely love it. If you are uploading images into Tropy, these are all of the different file formats it accepts. If you have scanned something at the library and it goes onto a flash drive, it's probably going to come out as a PDF. So it does accept PDFs. It accepts large files such as TIFFs, and also different kinds of JPEGs and PNG files. Those are probably what you're going to be using the most. Now, these don't have to be pictures that you took in the library. If you're saving things off of Ancestry.com, you can put these in your Tropy as well, so you can just upload them that way. All right, let me go out of that real quick. So let's look at Tropy, my favorite. Here's a little T down here at the bottom. Guys, I'm not lying. This is really a game changer. If you've ever done any kind of historical research or had to take photographs, this is just a phenomenal way to kind of organize it. So once you create a Tropy file, so I'm going to open it wide. Sorry, the little Leesburg box is a little in my way. All right, there we go. All right, so you can either start out like this, where you just have the files, and then once we enter the metadata such as creator and date, you can organize it this way. You can either, let me go up here, file, and then open. You can import new photos, so you can actually tell it to search your computer to upload photos, or you can actually just grab and drag. Let me see real quick. Let's go to Dropbox real quick. Open up my Dropbox because now I'm so excited because we can actually see now. Here's a picture of my dog, so I can actually just take this from Dropbox right here and upload it into Tropy, and up there it goes. It's right at the top now. That's Moses. He's my COVID adoption baby. There we go. So it goes in right here. So it's a really easy method for putting in images. And what's also great about Tropy is you can have multiple Tropy collections. So if I want to have one strictly on research, let me open this up again. If you want to have one strictly on research, you can just hit File, New, and start a new project. And it will save this old project. So you can have as many projects as you want. I have one specifically for my family genealogy. I have another one for my loyalist research. So you can really just have a fantastic time going to town on all of the different historical documents you have on your computer. And if you've been in the historical or genealogical field for a while, I guarantee you have a ton of stuff on your computer that could be organized, and this is a place to do it. So I prefer being able to see my images a little bit bigger. Here we go. Yeah, that's me sleeping on the couch with my dog. So I uploaded a couple of images today so you guys can kind of see the different ways that Tropy can work for you. I have, these are some of my family photos. These came out of my personal family collection. I have a newspaper article of my late grandfather. I have some microfilm here that came from the Loyalist Claims. And then I have a letter written by my great grandmother to Time Life magazine that she wrote in the 1950s. So all of this has been uploaded here. So we're going to start with the photographs first because these include mostly the same individual. So I'm going to click on this up and look. This is my great great uncle Luther in ML, Alabama, and that is my great grandmother Rose Knox Davis. And these are their two hound dogs, and this was their little farm in ML, Alabama. It's so cool because I can zoom in and zoom out and see how they were doing. All right, and of course, like my little sharing screen is right where I need to be. All right, so it won't let me zoom out. But you can see at the top up here, I can't grab it because there's a little WebEx thing in my way, that you can zoom in and zoom out. So over here, if you click on the metadata tab, this is where I can fill out all the cool information about this photograph, and it will save on this image. So if you're into different types of metadata, if you've used Omeka before, you're familiar with Dublin Core, but Tropy Generic is pretty fantastic. I tend to like it, but I can change the title of this to whatever I want. So I can say Grandma Rose and Uncle Luther. All right, there they are. So the creator of this image, I'm not sure. I don't know who took this photograph because this is probably from the early 1900s. So I can say unknown just because I'm not sure who took it. Date circa, let's say about 1908. Circa, for those of you, that is when you're not quite sure of the date, but you have kind of an idea of the range. Type, this is a photograph. The archive this came from, this didn't come from a particular archive. This came from my own family collection. So I can say Walter's family collection. Just because that's what I've decided that my family collection is fancy enough to have a collection name. But if this did come from somewhere like the Balch Library or University of Virginia, you could put the name of the archive. So it could be let's see, so Thomas Balch Library, the collection, this would be the collection name, the box number, and then the folder number that actually came out of. So if you're doing historical research and you've ever had to go back and try to remember for a citation where this image came from and what folder and everything it was in, here you go, guys, right here. You can save it all right here. And this one is important. This is rights. This will help you remember. Do you have the rights to share this photograph? Did the library give you permissions? Is this just for personal or research use and you can't publish this online? Rights is where you're going to enter that kind of information. So I'll say, so family archive open rights, just because this is my photograph, and unless my aunt, uncle, or mother have issues with me sharing it online, I'm sure they won't send me a cease and desist letter, but they can just tell me they don't want it online. A library will give you better permissions. They'll either say yay or nay, and right here's where you can organize that. All right. So here I have this little notes column. And since this is just a photograph, I can add kind of all that information I just told you guys that I know about this photo. So great grandmother Rose Knox Elliott Davis with her Uncle Luther in the early 20th century. I can say something, this was at their home in ML, Alabama. And anything else I want to put about this, or something like the home behind them was destroyed in 1952. So if you're using Tropy for something like genealogical information, how incredible is it that you can actually save this kind of information on top of a photograph? My grandfather recently passed away, and he was the one who told me about this photo. If I had not known that information, I would have never known that was Uncle Luther and my great grandmother. I would have never known this was in ML, Alabama. I would have just found a shoebox with photos. So if you have these kind of family photos, this is a great way to get that family information saved in one place now. So you can share that with your children and your grandchildren. And these little narratives that go along with some of these photographs don't get lost. And so, seriously, for my folks in the genealogical community, if you have these family collections, this is such a great place to save all of this information in one place. And then over here, next to metadata, you'll see tags. So if you click on tags, you say, I want to add a tag to this. So a tag is basically saving a little bit more specific information on top of the image. So that is my grandma Rose. So Rose Knox Elliott Davis. And I'm going to save that. And there she is. She's now tagged. All right, and I want to add another item. I'm going to say that's Uncle Luther. So his name was Luther Elliott. Okay, tag that item. This was an ML, Alabama. Save that. Okay, so that's some important tagged information that if I want to find just information on Rose, this image would pop up, and I'll show you guys a little bit more on that in just a second. So when I click out of this image, all of a sudden, look at all this information that is just populated. So here's the photo. I have it clicked here. Now it's telling me very quickly what the metadata was here. This is the information on the side. Sorry, you guys, I'm moving the little WebEx thing. Here's the note. So very quickly, I have this information here. Now, this is actually the back of that photograph. I'm going to double click on that real quick. Here it is. There's Buddy, Luther Elliott, and Rose Knox. So I can save. Okay, so this is Grandma Rose and Uncle Luther, backside of photograph. And if I want to, I can go and fill out the exact same metadata information. Down here, I can actually transcribe. I can say transcription, Buddy, Luther Elliott, and Rose Knox. Okay, that's the transcription of that. So when I don't need to tag it because they're not actually in that. But here we go. So we have two separate items now, right? But it's technically the same photograph because this is the front of the photograph and this is the back side of the photograph. So what I can do is grab both of these pictures. Now on my Mac, it's Shift. So it's Shift to select number 1 and Shift to select number 2. And you'll notice that both of these now have a little blue box around them. Now, if I right click on that image, you'll have all these little options right here, but my favorite one is merge selected item. So I'm going to click merge. And look at that, guys. All of a sudden, that one image that you have multiple photos of is now right next to each other. Two photographs for this one image. So they have collapsed. So if you're using a file manager, so say like My Documents or My Photos, you don't have the ability to combine these photographs in the same way. And here I have the notes for both photographs. I have the metadata and the tags for both photographs right here. And it's just really stinking cool, especially if you have say like a 20-page letter, you can merge all of those items. And so instead of having to constantly click through, you have it all in one place. So cool. And then you can kind of tell it has these little gray lines at the top, and that's to indicate to you that this is more than one image in this file. So here we go down here. We're going to tag one more image. This is my grandma all grown up. This is in the early night, or great grandmother all grown up, and her mother. Probably not the same dogs, but apparently they were dog people. So I'm just going to say image of Rose Knox Elliott. She would become Davis, and her mother, Big Mama, Amelia Elliott. And let's see, they are hunting in Florida with their dogs. Don't know about you guys, but that headdress is amazing. I want this entire outfit that my great grandmother is wearing. But anyway, I will put the metadata in. So I'm just going to title this Ladies Hunting in Florida. Creator unknown. We know that's about 1920. Type, photograph, and you can see it'll start to populate once you've already put something in. So yeah, see, so I put a W, and I'd already put Walter's Family Collection on that last one. Rights, Family Archive. So unless my mom tells me I can't put it online, it is mine. Here are my little notes right here. And just so you guys know, you see you have this little kind of word processing editor at the top, so you can bold, italicize, underline. This is great when it comes to transcriptions. So there she is, and I'm going to go to tags. I'm going to tag this. I'm going to say there's Rose. Oh, look, there she is. She's already populating. And then I'm going to put Amelia Elliott. And I don't know where in Florida this is, but I know it's Florida. So I'm going to tag Florida. All right, and I go back. Here's the metadata over here. All right, look, guys, on this left-hand side, you'll see all of the tags that I've started putting in. So we only had one Amelia. We only had one Luther, but we've had two Rose Knoxes. So I'm going to click on this. And look, guys, here's everything I have on Rose Knox Elliott Davis. So because I had tagged those two photographs, she's popping up just right here, only her photographs. So if you are going through any kind of family collection and say, unfortunately, maybe someone has passed away and you've already put all these images into Tropy and you're trying to do maybe like a memorial photo slide or something like that, all you would have to do is click their name and boom, everything that you have saved, there's all of their images at once. Or if you are doing historical research and you only want to see documents on, say, Mosby's Rangers, if you had tagged Mosby's Rangers in those documents, you would just click it. See, no, there's just Uncle Luther right there, and they would all pop up. So it's a fantastic way to organize and tag any kind of information that you might have. All right, guys. So I'm going to go back to my tutorial. So once again, here I have this letter. You can tell that this letter is in three pieces. So once again, I'm going to hold down Shift and click these three. And I'm going to merge those. So I'll right click, say merge selected items. There they are. So we're cleaning up our file. Here are some of my scans from the Loyalist Claims Commission. I'm going to Shift, click on, oop, wrong one, guys. Going to click Shift, grab all those, right click, merge selected. Look how much prettier all of our organization is getting. This is just fantastic. All right, it's looking great. So right here, I have a newspaper article from my grandfather. This was when he became a counselor at a community college here in Poplarville. So right here, you can read this pretty well because this is a newspaper. But if you've ever heard of anything called OCR, which stands for optical character recognition, this is how computers can read images. And sometimes OCR software cannot read this. It can't lift this text. And if it does, it's usually a bunch of jargon. So if I was doing, say, some kind of digital humanities project and understanding, more on the literature side, like word count and stuff, I would probably actually want to transcribe this here. So I would go PRC, counselor is announced, and then, oops, guys, go. Charles Dauenhauer has been appointed guidance counselor at PRC according to President M.R. White. Okay, so I could actually bold that right there if I wanted to, so it looks a little bit more. I could even say right here, above image of Pawpaw, because this is for me and not historical people, with caption Charles Dallenhauer. So there you go. You can actually keep the transcriptions here. How many of you in the past, I know I can't actually get your answers from this, but you've had to have a Word document up next to a newspaper article that you were trying to transcribe, or a handwritten document, and you'd have to keep zooming in and out and switching screens. Right here with Tropy, it's all in one, guys. You can zoom in, zoom out. One of my favorite things up here that I can't see too much, okay, yeah, because the little WebEx thing is in my way, I can actually switch the different sides. So if it's scanned kind of weird, you can switch it. If it came in on the wrong side, you can turn it around. There's all sorts of neat things that you can do in here to transcribe. And even better, now that I've saved this right here, I'm going to do the tag, say Oscar Charles Dallenhauer Jr. That's him. Go back. And say right here, I'm like, oh man, I know someone in the family or someone in my research was a counselor. I did not tag that Pawpaw was a counselor in here, but I did transcribe counselor right there. But say it's like 2 weeks later and I can't remember, oh, was it grandma or was it Pawpaw? Who was it? In the search, there it is. Because I had transcribed it and put it in here or added it as a part of my notes, I can ask those questions and Tropy will answer it for me. So there's the image about Pawpaw. Good job, Pawpaw. All right. And then for my people wanting to do historical research, here you go. Look how good that zoom is. Like, I'm telling you, one of the things I really appreciate about Tropy, if you have a high quality image, which of course a scan of a microfilm scan is not the best, but this is actually pretty dadgum good if you've ever worked with microfilm copies before. But you can zoom in and out as much as you need to. And here at the bottom, you can start transcribing. Memorial of John Agnew. Poor Laura had to hear a lot about John Agnew while I worked at the Balch Library. And here you can see I have every page connected to this one loyalist claim. So I don't have 15 images just hanging out in my photos. I have them all collapsed on top of each other and I know they belong to each other. And even better, when I go to this front page, I can say Memorial of John Agnew. The creator was actually John Agnew. This is from about, I'm pretty sure 1784. No one's quoting me on that right now. Type, it's a loyalist claim. Archive. This came from British National Archives. Collection, loyalist claims, and we're just going to pretend this was in box 5, folder 6, and the rights, copyright protected, cannot be republished online. So there, I have all that information all on top of each other. So when I hover right here, here's all my information that I need to know about this one loyalist claim. And had I transcribed this whole thing and had all this cool social information about where he was from and what he did for a living, like I know for a fact. So let's see, let's tag this as John Agnew. I'm going to tag it as a loyalist. I know that he was a pastor. So if I'm doing research on loyalists in the American Revolution and I want to know who all consider themselves reverends or pastors, I could click this and pretend I had a bunch of other claims and they would all pop up here. Like, how cool is that? At once, I don't have to go searching through my file managers. I have all of the people who were pastors during the American Revolution. If I have transcribed them and added that kind of data, they'll show up right here. So like I said before, you guys, Tropy is an incredible tool, and it's one that you can share with family. It's one that you can share with other researchers. This is a free download. You pay nothing to use this little file manager system. And you can share all these files with anyone that you want. You can add metadata, you can add tags. It's a great way to organize your research or any kind of genealogical information. And I'm for one obsessed with it. After having to go through my binder method and having to look through the thousands of images that I had taken in archives and trying to find, the one picture in my documents of John Agnew and having to scroll through all of that and try to figure out which one. Because if you've done microfilm copies, they all look like this. So unless you have named it, they're kind of hard to find. So this is a great place that after you've done that weekend research trip, you've come home, you've uploaded everything onto your computer. It's a great idea to go ahead and start organizing. I saw a quick question about transcription. What was that about, Laura?
We've actually received a number of excellent questions about Tropy. Do you want to go ahead and
Oh,
kind of dive
holy
into those?
moly. Sure, let's go for it.
Okay. So just to start, Stephanie, a couple questions about downloading Tropy. People were curious what exactly you download, and I know it's based on your operating system. So
Yeah. So
is go ahead.
sorry, when I get on it, I can't stop talking.
You're good.
So anyway, when you download Tropy, what you are downloading is the dashboard. So when you click, let me see, we're gonna scroll back up here for a second. So if you are using a Mac or a PC, sorry guys, I don't have my mouse with me because why would I have that on presentation day? Right here, you would just click download. And what it's going to do is save to your downloads or wherever you want to download it onto your computer. And then you see right here, I have this little trophy sign. This is for a Mac. So I have a little icon here. If not, if you were using a PC, you'll probably have a little T here on the, side of your computer. And then you'll be able to double click that and start a project. So what you're downloading is this little dashboard to be able to put your photos into it. And the good news is too, if you guys put your photographs into Tropy, it is only saving into Tropy a copy of that photograph. So actually right here, let me pull it up. There's my Dropbox icon. So here you see, here's me and my dog sleeping on the couch during some time in COVID. It's still here in my Dropbox. So what it has done is when I pulled this over, it made a copy. So you're not getting rid of your photographs or, anything's going wrong with the originals or saving anything on top of the originals. You are saving a copy of that photograph into Tropy. Does that make sense? I hope so. Is there another question, Laura?
Yep. And actually, that does make sense. And actually, that answers another question that someone asked, and they were asking if the files were stored on your computer in Tropy or in the cloud, and if you had a choice. But I think you just answered that question.
Yeah, it's only saving a copy into Tropy. So wherever your original is, make sure it is backed up some kind of cloud. Now it's nice because, this is another place to save copies of images, but the original, no, it stays on your computer wherever you're grabbing it from, whether it's, my images or my documents, or like Dropbox, because that's the cloud, that I use.
Okay. Yeah. So a great question is the metadata that you enter into Tropy, does that stay with the image or is it only available in Tropy or things like Omeka that that play well with Tropy?
It only stays on the copy of the image. So yes, it will only exist in Tropy. So say if I go back to Dropbox and I hover over this image, look, it's still the original file name, right? Not the file name that I had saved on Tropy, even though I hadn't used that image yet. So no, the original stays the same. Nothing is on top of this. So no metadata, no titles or anything. You have to be in Tropy in order, and you don't have to log on or anything because this is just freestanding on your computer. So if I wanted to know something about Rosa Knox Elliott Davis, I click on her in here, grab one of her pictures, and here's all of her metadata. So you would have to access that through Tropy.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying that. A great question that I'm very curious to know the answer to, because I use Tropy a little bit. Does Tropy provide means of repeating info from previous photos? Can you replicate entry so you don't have to do it independently for each image?
Right now, no,
Ooh.
unfortunately. Now there is a way, there's kind of a way to get around it. So I'll go back. So, if you've collapsed a bunch of items, so like this one, so say, obviously every image in here is going to be the exact same. Oh, wait, no, is this an update from Tropy? Guys, see, this is also a thing about digital humanities. You'll be in the middle of a tutorial and something has updated and changed. This is great. So no, if you do collapse the images, it will save the metadata. But say, you have another, say there were 3 loyalist claims in box 5, folder 6. You can't replicate that for the other 2 loyalist claims. You see what I'm saying? So you have to go in and physically enter that information for the other new loyalist claims. But if you collapse one claim on top of each other, it will save that metadata for each page. Does that make sense, Laura, or was I complicated?
Yeah, no, actually
Okay.
that made sense to me.
Okay.
If I guess if people have further questions, maybe we can get back to them. And in fact, we I think we have something. So
Yay.
somebody's clarifying the copy. So to clarify, the copy and all of the data is not on the computer but in the cloud. So
Yeah, it's
I
in
think that
Tropy. Yeah,
it's in Tropy.
it's in Tropy. So
Um,
I'll actually show you real quick. Da 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 da. Open my Dropbox one more time. Here's my academic documents. For some reason, my family archive is in here. So see here at the very bottom, it says Seal Walters family, and that's for collection. That was too long. So it saves in a Tropy file. So this file is what you can share with other people, and you can double click on this file, and it would open up here, and you would see the entire library, and it saves under a .tpy file, and that just stands for Tropy. So you can only open it in Tropy. So say if you have a relative who wants to access this cool family stuff that you've put into Tropy, you would just share this file with them and it would open. Does that make sense?
yeah, that does make sense.
Yes,
Okay.
I just saw Lee say, is Tropy open source? Yes, it is.
Yes. And they do update it pretty regularly, I know.
Yeah.
Uh, so new things show up all the time. And actually, Sally had a comment where she says, when you use the last import feature, you can add the same data to a group of images at the same time, which is something I don't know about. So I'm going to
I don't
try
know
that.
about that either. So see, Sally
Yeah.
knows. See, yeah, and that's the thing. What's wonderful about Tropy is Tropy, if I'm not mistaken, is actually funded by a National Endowment for the Humanities grant and a bunch of other places. And I know the Roy Rosenzweig Center funds it as well. But it is a very popular, very new, very much needed software in the historical and genealogical community. So the good part about that means that it will constantly have a source of funding for a long time, which means that they've got new people working on it constantly. So you can expect cool new features and updates. So every 20 seconds, something new is happening to Tropy. That also means that it's not going to go away for a very long time. I don't see Tropy going anywhere, honestly, in my lifetime, just because this is something that has been so needed in the community for a while. I'm sure what they will do is constantly update over Tropy constantly. So yeah, you can feel safe using this software.
And just to be clear, it is free. So
Yes,
there's no,
free. There
yeah,
is
and they
no charge, guys. Like you can go right now. No one's going to ask you for your credit card. There's no viruses attached to it or anything wonky because it's coming from a legitimate institution. This is just something that the National Endowment for the Humanities funded to make sure that historians and genealogists everywhere, not just those attached to academic institutions, could use this for their research. So yes, free to use.
and one more question, and then I think maybe we'll move on. Somebody did ask, so the software is open source. That doesn't mean though that anybody on the web can see your content. It means that you can download Tropy, the program, to a unique instance that is just yours, right?
Yes, yeah. No, no one can access your stuff. So once you have put stuff into your trophy file, unless you have shared it with someone else, no one has access to it. What open source actually means is that online the source code for this program is available. So if you are a programmer or someone who's way above my pay grade when it comes to computers, if there was something you wanted to manipulate in Tropy and change the software to meet your own needs, you could do it. So if you were a programmer and you wanted to create an import feature for Tropy to go into something like WordPress, the source code is available online for you to manipulate the program. Now, I would never do that because I'm not nearly that cool. But that means that if you are a programmer, you could kind of have fun with this.
Yeah, hopefully they'll come up with lots of cool stuff for us to,
Yeah,
to
that's
do with it.
that's the beauty of open source. That means that, some programmer in France may want to add a feature to Tropy, and so they go create it. And then the people who work at Tropy, if they like it, they can adopt it. So that's what's really cool about it as well.
That's great. Okay, I said one more question and then I'm gonna lie. So one more question
You're
because this is a
fine.
good one. And that is, so Stephanie, if you've copied your files, your photographs into Tropy, do you then get rid of the original source photo? Is Tropy a good place to store your photo, like your main um, copy of that photograph?
That
Hopefully
is
I'm
a
making.
very good question. I would say always keep the originals no matter what. So Tropy, yes, can serve as a good backup, but it's saving a copy of the original. The original document is always going to be the highest quality photograph. Even though Tropy does a great job of importing the quality of that photograph into it, it is still a copy. So anytime you take archival photographs, make sure you have some kind of cloud storage, whether it's Google Drive or so I know that Microsoft has a version of it, Dropbox has one. So make sure you're always backing things up into the cloud. It's always a good idea to have important things like this in multiple places, right? Just because computers are fantastic, but computers can be faulty. And say, heaven forbid, one day your computer crashes and for some reason it takes Tropy with it, you still have that original backup in the cloud. Now, you saw in my Dropbox, I have my Tropy file also in the cloud. So I've got everything double backed up. So always keep the originals and always keep multiple copies in different places.
Thanks, Stephanie. I think that's good. There's a few questions that are more general that we'll get back to maybe at the end of the program. But if you want to move on, I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay, no problem. And just, guys, I know that I've been a little bit glowing about Tropy. It's probably a little annoying. But seriously, this is a game changer. And like I said before, it is free. Usually free stuff doesn't come this cool or this sophisticated. Usually you have to pay for this kind of stuff. And so, next time you drive past George Mason, give them a honk because they're, making this free and available to you. And it really is cool. And no one asked this question, but I just thought of it. There really is I don't know what the limit is for storage on Tropy, but I know one of my Tropy files literally has thousands of images in it and they haven't stopped me yet. So you can dump as much as you want to into these Tropy files and you should be good to go. So just in case anybody was wondering about that. All right, guys. So that was Tropy. And now we're going to talk a little bit about Omeka. So unlike Tropy, Omeka is a little bit more difficult to use, but I would not let that scare you away. Like I said before, Omeka has been around for a while now. So it's easy to download. There are lots of forums online. You now know me personally, so you can ask me questions and I don't charge you. So you can always ask questions from the community or people who know Omeka. But if you're interested in putting things online, when it comes to historical like documents or photograph collections, Omeka really is the premier software to use. If you've ever used WordPress before, most websites are actually WordPress websites or something similar to it. They're very blog style. So unless you're interested in writing an essay and putting in pictures with maybe a few reels, it's not great if you're trying to create an exhibit or create a collection of photographs to put online. In fact, Omeka was created with the archive and museums in mind. Like I said before, there are two different versions of Omeka. There's one called Omeka S and there's one called Omeka Classic. What you guys are going to be interested in, unless you're from a large institution where you want to have multiple websites going at once, you guys are going to be interested in Classic. And Classic is actually what I teach when I've taught university courses in digital humanities. I tell my students all the time they have got to know Omeka. If they are planning on going into public history and doing museum work, yes, there are other types of content management systems that work well for museums too, but Omeka really is kind of the premier, what most people are using in order to create collections and exhibits online. So when I say content management system, what I basically mean is you can see right here, this is a little dashboard. I'm going to bring you into one in a second. We're going to create a collection and a small little exhibit. Right here, you go online and this is basically the back end of a website where you can add posts and add collections. And once you have put all that, you can create a beautiful website like this. This is a website that I created when I worked at Southern Miss. Dr. Susanna Url, who is one of my dear friends, and I've worked with her for a long time. She won quite a few grants to create a website and a digital project dedicated to the Civil War and Reconstruction governors of Mississippi. Basically what she is doing is during the 19th century, if you were a good citizen, you were writing your governor. The governor was, if something was going wrong in your town, if you were mad at your mayor or your officials, if there was a famine happening, you were writing your governor about it. So the state of Mississippi has this massive archival collection dedicated to all of these letters that everyday people were writing to the governor in the 19th century. So we have letters from children, we have letters from enslaved and free people, we have letters from women, from men. It's really this cool collection where you can get a snapshot of life in Mississippi. And this is a website. This was known as the sample document site. There's now a much larger Omeka S site dedicated to it, but this is an Omeka website. And what's really cool is you can click here on the collection themes. Here are the collections. So I've got one on memory. Here's emancipation and citizenship. When you click on that, starts out with an essay written by Susanna Url, which is kind of long, but that's what you get. And then here come all of the documents included in emancipation and citizenship. So here we have the title. Here's all of that fun metadata I talked to you guys about earlier. You have the title, the subject, who the creator is. Right here, I have both images that you can look at. What I love most about Omeka too is it goes ahead, if you've got K through 12 students or even undergraduate students, it goes ahead and creates the citation for you. It does it automatically in Chicago manual style. So if they're MLA or APA folks, sorry about it, they gotta rework it, but I love that it goes ahead and gives you the citation. This has no copyright on it. And then at the bottom here, here is the actual transcription. We hired a bunch of undergraduate students one summer to transcribe a lot of these. Here we have social media. So if you wanted to share this on Facebook, you could show them this document here. And if you scroll up, here we go. I actually want to see this image. So I'm going to double click on it. Oh, and there she is. And it's beautiful, although, oh man, that seep through makes it really difficult. I'm so proud of my kids who were able to transcribe this. They were really bad at it at first, and at the end, they were pros. If you've ever looked at 18th or 19th century handwriting, once you get through like the fourth or fifth one, you become a pro real quick. But they did a great job. Don't let anyone tell you young people can't read cursive, they can. And then here it is at the top. So, and then we also have a series of exhibits here. Ours are educator resources. Here's Emancipation and Citizenship, where we created lesson plans for teachers, where they can go in, and here's the fourth grade level one. And right here, we have the teacher lesson plan. We have the historical document, and then we have the transcription of the document. So you could just print this off for your kids. So if we have any teachers in the room, Omeka is great for classroom projects, for either you to have a classroom website or even let your own students contribute to the website. I usually, I've got a ninth grade class that I'm currently working with that's actually building an Omeka website. So it's a great way to engage kids in digital humanities. And it also looks really good on a resume because they can link this and show the colleges and future jobs what they've actually been working on. But this is a beautiful Omeka site. I'm very proud of it. But basically what you need in order to get started with Omeka is you have to have a domain name. So you can go through a hosting website such as GoDaddy. My favorite is Reclaim Hosting, which is actually out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. They are a phenomenal, very small kind of grassroots hosting system, and it's very cheap. It's $45 a year for the website name and the space to host your website. So whatever hosting you choose, you can go in, and most of them already have Omeka as an option to download. It'll have what do you want your website to be? Do you want it to be WordPress? Do you want it to be Scalar? Do you want it to be Omeka? So you can go ahead and choose Omeka, and it will automatically upload into whatever hosting you are using. But Reclaim works a lot with Omeka because it's a lot of historians on there, so they can answer a lot of questions for you. But basically, if you've ever used WordPress before, which is probably the most popular content management system out there, this looks very similar. So you have the dashboard, and this is the back end of your website. So everything I do in here is going to manipulate the actual website. Please forgive this photo. This is actually for one of my classes. This is a sandbox website where they can go in and play and create exhibits and collections. And if they mess up, it's no big deal. What I do is I assign odd histories. So little stories that you don't hear much about. Like one down here is someone did one on a burial casket. They had that you've probably heard of people who have the little bells that they'll put through the coffin, and if they were accidentally buried alive, they'll ring it. There's those little stories like that. And then my favorite one, my featured exhibit right now, is Old Douglas, the Confederate camel, who was actually a camel who fought in the Confederacy during the Civil War. It's a great story. So it's a bunch of little odd histories that can kind of add stories to. But everything I do in this dashboard manipulates this website. So any change I make is going to go in here. So if some of you have never done website building before, this may sound a little overwhelming. So just stick with me because website building at the beginning, yeah, it sounds a little scary, but it really isn't that difficult. Yes, there's a small learning curve, but if you're feeling a little overwhelmed right now, like what is she talking about? It's okay. Just stick with it. We're gonna work through it. It'll be fine. So in Omeka, you have options where you can add items, so photographs, documents, newspapers, anything that you may have collected, and you can put them into a collection. So like an archival collection. So like when you go to the Balch Library, and you ask for a collection, they'll hand you a box that comes with a bunch of folders. That's the same thing in Omeka except put online. Or exhibits. So if you have a bunch of items and you want to tell a story with those items, I do this a lot with student research papers. Instead of writing a paper, I'll have them create an Omeka exhibit where they can kind of create a narrative about the items that they found. It's really cool. You can add that as well. But when you first get to Omeka, my favorite thing to do is mess with the appearance. And at the very top right here, Omeka comes with 3 themes ready to go. If you've ever worked in WordPress, that might sound a little dinky to you because WordPress has thousands of different themes that you can use. You can go online and upload some more themes, but I actually really love these 3. They're very easy to use. They're very clean. They're not too flashy. Which, to be honest, sometimes when you see a flashy website, that should raise a red flag for you. The reason why is that website is not going to be around for a very long time because it takes a lot of maintenance to make all those flashy things stand the test of time. So if a organization doesn't have a lot of funding and they have a flashy website, that website's going to break in about a year, and no one's going to be able to fix it, and you can't use it. So sometimes using these very basic themes, there's no extra add-ins that go into this. There's no flash here, but you can configure the theme. I always go with Berlin. You can add a little header. See, as you can go back to this website, here's my header. My very strange medieval tapestry, but the kids love it. The kids love anything that's kind of weird like that. Here's my footer text where it says content managed by Stephanie Seal Walters. And sure enough, if I scroll down, up there it is, content managed by Stephanie Walters. And I say, I want the copyright displayed. On the home page, I can display a featured item. So if I really like an item, it'll go on the home page. And if you go back, here it is. There's my featured item, which is Beauvoir, the home of Jefferson Davis. Here's my featured exhibit, which is Douglas the camel, because I'll show you guys how to choose a featured item or exhibit in a second, but you can put those right on the home page. I have unclicked right now display featured collection just because I'm going to create a collection with you guys. I don't have one right now to display. And then right here, here is my homepage text, ready, set, play, or destroy. That's what a sandbox is for. So this is for my students to kind of go in and learn their digital humanities skills. So they can go in here, click a bunch of buttons, and if they break something, it's not a big deal because I can fix it. That it's a place for them to really figure out figure out where they are in digital humanities and how to work this kind of content. All right, so I would save that, and sure enough, we'll go back here. And there's my content. Yay, there's that little paragraph I wrote. So what's beautiful is this theme, all I have to do is fill in this information, and now I have a pretty website. See, that wasn't hard, guys. You just choose a theme, you pick what you want to go on the front page and fill it in, and all of a sudden you have a home page for a website. And even better, up here, you can change your navigation. So if I go back to my website and go up to the top, here's my navigation bar. You can click browse items, exhibits, collections. About the sandbox will bring you to an about page. And then right here, if you click on it, it'll bring you to additional Omeka Classic resources. And that's great because that's immediately at the fingertips of my kids. So if they're having trouble in Omeka, they can go ahead and click that. Answer some questions for them. But I can move this around if I want. Say I want exhibits to come before items or collections. You can move it around. If I want to have a subheading, I can scooch it right here. All right, and see what happens when I save this change. Right? Up. See, now when I do this, browse collections goes under it. So now it's a little subheading instead of being all at the top. See, that's not so hard. It's not scary. My students always kind of freak out a little bit when I show them Omeka. All right, save it. Let's reload that one again. Up, and there she goes. She went right back. And if I wanted to add something else, say Stephanie Walters home, I could send them to http://www.stephanieandseal.com. Add link, save changes. Oop, I need to click it to make sure it shows up, because if you don't click that box, it's not going to show up. All right, guys, let's reload. And there's my home page. So see, that's so easy to use. Now, why would you want to go through the trouble of creating a website? You're like, this is great, Steph, but I don't know why I need to use this. So once again, so Tropy is for your personal use, right? And for anyone that you want to share your personal Tropy file with. Omeka puts the items that, once again, you have permission to use. You have permission to use, you can put that online and have a website. So if you guys go into your browser right now and click in stephanieandseal.com/sandbox, it's going to bring you to my Sandbox website. So anyone can access this because you have officially made it public. So if you have, like, say my maiden last name is Seal, and I wanted to create a genealogical website dedicated to the Seal family. So anyone out there with the last name Seal wanted information on the family history, could have photos uploaded and all sorts of cool stuff. So we're actually going to do that right now. We're going to create a collection. Well, what do you need to have a collection? You have to have items, right? Nobody wants to go into an archive and open up a file folder and it's empty. You want to have items. So I'm going to add, here we go. Right here, or actually, let's go ahead and go to files first. So if you go over to the top and click files, I'm going to choose a file. All right, so I'm going to go to my Dropbox and I'm going to click on academic documents. And right here is my family archive. I don't know what picture this is, but I'm going to choose it. Up, there she is, Elizabeth Goldsmith. All right, open that up. That's a daguerreotype that I have that's really stinking cool. So here it is. And then I'm going to go back to my Dublin Core. I'm going to fill out the information. So this is Elizabeth Goldsmith. Subject. I can give it a subject, so I can say early photography. If I want to add another subject, I can add input here and I can put Goldsmith family, any kind of subject I want. And if I want to manipulate this a little bit, I can click this little box that says use HTML. And I have this little word editing box that pops up. So I don't know why, but what if I wanted it to be bold? There you go. You can fix that there. I can center it if I want to. Don't know why I'd want to do that, but you know, we got options. We like options here in digital humanities. All right, and here's the description. This is a photograph of Elizabeth Goldsmith. Her dress and hair indicate that this was taken around 1848 to 1850. Yeah, it's that old. I had it aged. So there we go. The creator is you. You are the creator. If you are the person responsible for putting this in Omeka, you are the creator. So Stephanie Walters. The source, if you know where it came from, so you could even say like Thomas Balch Library, or if it's not the Balch Library, you can say Family Archive, anywhere you want it to come from. And you don't have to fill every single one of these out, but it's best to do it as much as you can. So let's see. So we'll say circa 1850 is what we think the date are. Here's the important one, the rights. People who are going online to your website, they want to know if you actually have the rights to use this image. Why do they want to know that? Well, one is because they may want to use the image. If you've got a student in school who wants to put it in their PowerPoint presentation, they came across your website, or if someone is interested in using it in a publication, this will tell them where they can go back and get the original rights from. So I'll say Family Archive open rights. So that means that this came out of my family archive, and I'm telling little Johnny down the street who's doing a PowerPoint presentation on Poplarville history that he can use this photograph. And if you have anything extra you want to say for publishing rights, contact Stephanie Seal Walters. Because what if there's a local historian who's writing a book on Poplarville? They found this image of Elizabeth Goldsmith. They want to use it for publishing rights. They need to contact me. So it's open rights. Little Johnny can use this in his PowerPoint. But for publication rights, I may want to know that my family photo is going in someone's book. So you'll fill that out right there. And you have a few more questions. So say if this was a written document, you could say it's in English. There's all sorts of different things that you can put on here. So also, if you do not fill out a box, it does not show up at all in the metadata. And I'll show you that in a second. So there are a few we didn't fill out. I'm going to say over here, I want to make it public. I'm not going to make it featured because I already got Douglas the camel. All right, item type metadata. This is a still image. And you can say what the original format was. Mine's a daguerreotype. I'm not going to embarrass myself and totally like butcher the word daguerreotype on here. File, we've already uploaded the file. And if I want to add any tags to it, I'm not necessarily interested in that right now. So I'm going to say add item. All right, and there she is. There's Elizabeth, looking good. But now I'm going to go to collection because I want to put her in a family collection. I have no collections right now. So I'm going to give this a name. I'm going to say this is the Steele family of Poplarville collection. Subject, family history collection. I can give it a description. I can say this is a collection dedicated to photographs collected by the Seal family of Poplarville, Mississippi. And I can add a lot more about that there, like say, these photographs range from the mid 19th century to the early 21st century. And you can put all sorts of descriptive. The more description, the better. Creator, that's me, Stephanie Seal Walters. And it has similar metadata information that's going to go down there. Perfect. Rights, once again, if you have rights, this is a family archival collection. Open rights for publishing information, please contact Stephanie Seal Walters. All right, perfect. So I'm going to make this public. So it will go on the website, scroll back up to the top, make it public, add collection. All right, so I probably should have done this first because I'm going to go back to items. I'm going to edit Elizabeth Goldsmith, and right here where it says collection, I'm going to add this to the Seal family of Poplarville collection, save. I'm going to go back to items real quick. I'm going to add one more just so you guys can see it. I always like adding my file first, even though it doesn't come first in line. There's another, oop, there's the front of the daguerreotype. There we go, open. All right, so this is the Elliott family from ML, Alabama. Subject, Alabama, relatives, description, these are Seal relatives from the state of Alabama. And of course, if you're building a website, you want it to be a heck of a lot more descriptive than that, but I'm just trying to get stuff up because I know we're getting close to time and I know you guys have questions. Add item, so I've put it in collection. It's now public. I'm gonna add it as an item. Add it. Of course, my internet's gonna go a little wonky right while I'm trying to do this. There it goes. Oops, I accidentally added it twice because I got a little too anxious. So there it goes. So I've got two. These are both in. I'm going to go to collections. I'm going to click the Seal Family of Poplarville collection. You can see I've got 2 recently added items. So I'm going to go to my website, Little Odd Histories. It's going to say Browse Collections. I'm going to click Browse. I only have 1 collection total right now. And here it is. I'm going to click on it. And here, all of a sudden, anyone who's interested in my family, I'm going to have that list of items that they can click on. So here's the little quick description. Of course, you can tell why you might want to beef that up just a little bit, but I can click on it, scroll down. Here's the metadata attached. I can click on the image a little bit better. But look, I got it wrong. That's actually in Shibuya, Mississippi. I was wrong. Okay. Ooh, and even better, here we go with that citation, y'all. The kids love it. It's less work they have to do for their research papers. So there you go. So you can publish online. You can, so here I'm saying this is a Seal family of Poplarville, but if you've got multiple families, you can add multiple collections down here. You can add as many collections as you want. It can be based around photographs. It can be based around documents that you have permission to share or maybe came from your family. Or, you know, also a lot of students will use this, you know, instead of a research paper. So if they have permission to create a collection online. That's always a cool school assignment. But let's talk a little bit about exhibits because that's the other important part of Omeka. So exhibits, so collections just show items the way you want them to be seen. Just like if you go to the Balch Library, you ask for a collection and they hand you a box with a bunch of folders. That's basically what you've just created with this collection. Here is your box. And here's your folders with the information in it. Here's your folders, and here's the item in your folder. So you've just created the online version of a archival collection. With exhibits, this is where you can kind of get fun with it and write little essays. So if you're interested in genealogy and you want to write up about family histories and family stories and you want to publish those online, you can create an exhibit. So when I click on this one, this is Old Douglas, the Confederate camel. If you're interested in it, I promise you that it's an incredible story. It's just as absurd as it sounds. But right here, I have the image of Old Doug, and I've got this cool introduction about who he was and where he came from. I have some links. Look, you can even put in some endnotes so you can send people to resources. And then I have almost like this little storybook that tells you about Douglas that you can kind of click through the chapters. This is talking about the Army Camel Corps that Jefferson Davis started before the Civil War. And right here, Mississippi's Camel War. So it's almost like creating a little storybook. So if you're wanting to talk about your family, you know, from the 18th century to now, you could have each little chapter dedicated to whatever you wanted. And you could insert these images. And to be honest, when I'm teaching students and they're doing research papers that are going online, kind of like this, I will always put them in exhibits over collections because collections is kind of better for us in the genealogical and historical community if we're just trying to get information online for people to be able to view in a nice, organized way. Exhibits are these cool little research papers. So if I go back to my dashboard, here you have right here, says exhibits. I'm going to click on that. As you can see, this is my nice completed one. These two are both, all of these are private, and it was basically all of my students who are working on things. But I can add an exhibit. I want this exhibit to be the history of the Seal family of Poplarville. And this slug, what is a slug? If you click on this right here, everything in the little backslash is a slug. So stephanieandseal.com/sandbox. This is the website. And then after that is exhibits. And then after that is Douglas the camel. So what you're trying to do is shorten it. So I'll say Seal family, just to keep it short and sweet. Credits, I wrote this. So that is me. I'll have a very long description here of what this whole exhibit is about. Make sure you make it public. Scroll down. I can choose an image to be my cover image. Look up, we'll put Elizabeth Goldsmith since she's the oldest one. She's looking pretty good. All right, so I'm going to save this. Uh-oh. Save changes. All right. And I'm going to go back to my exhibits. And I have a new exhibit, guys. Where is it? Up, and it's at the very bottom. There it is, the Seal Family Popular. Here's my very long description, which should be a lot longer. Now there's no pages added to it yet. That's okay. Very long description. Because when you go back, and you scroll down to the very bottom of exhibits, you can add a page. And this is going to be chapter 1, the 1850s in Poplarville, which is funny because Poplarville didn't even exist in the 1850s, but we're just going to go with it. We'll just say chapter 1 is the menu link. You don't have to do a slug, but I'll do chapter 1. Select a layout. So do I want to have an item with text? Do I want to have a gallery? So like 15 pictures in a row that you can just click on. Do I just want text? So I'm going to do file with text. Add new content block. I'm going to add this picture of the Elliott family. Okay, have a little caption. This is the Elliott family. Apply. So now it has a little caption under it. And here is all my text talking about the Seal, then Elliott family who moved to Poplarville, da 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 da. And I'm just going to have a, let me see real quick. Command C, Command V, just like beef it up a little bit so you guys can see. So we have a bunch of text there. And then down here, I'm going to add a new content block. So file with text, add content block. I want another picture. This time we're going to go with Elizabeth again. Elizabeth Goldsmith. And here is a bunch of text about Elizabeth. So we're going to save this, save changes. And now I'm going to refresh this page. The history of the Seal family of Poplarville. Ooh. Here's chapter 1. Clicking on it, up, and there it goes, guys. I can start writing my little essay. Of course, you saw the Douglas the camel one, so it was a lot prettier than this. But see, I mean, yeah, is there some steps that go into Omeka? Of course there is. With any content management system, there's going to be a little bit of back-end work, but it really isn't that difficult. And I would say it's user-friendly because the steps are all there. As long as you're filling out as much as you can and saving changes, you're going to have a beautiful website that can look very similar to this one. Hopefully not one with a jackrabbit decapitating a medieval man. But you can do this to fix, to basically surround what your genealogical family is interested in. You can do one for maybe if I wanted to do one on loyalism in Virginia during the American Revolution, I could put a bunch of exhibits in here on that. But it's a really cool way to find this kind of information and make it freely available online. Now, just like Tropy, Omeka is free unless you're using omeka.net. That's something that's a little bit different. It means it's actually being hosted by Omeka, so they charge you for it. But Omeka itself is free. And so if you are hosting a website from GoDaddy or Reclaim Hosting, you can just add this application. You pay nothing for it. You don't pay for any of the themes that are available. All you do is fill stuff in, and you can make it available online for friends, family, researchers, scholars, anywhere for someone to use. And so I know it may have freaked you out a little bit if you've never done a little bit of website design before, but I promise the beauty of Omeka is it's been around for a really long time. So once again, if you can use Google and type in a question, you can answer any questions you may have on Omeka. There's all sorts of really easy tutorials out there, YouTube videos. So you can build a website that looks like this or a website looks like this. These are both Omeka websites. So, that was probably the world's quickest tour of Omeka. Both Omeka and Tropy can have week-long workshops that go with them to get to know them really well and use them. But what I really wanted you guys to have today is kind of a taste of what's out there, especially what's free, what's easy to use, and what might be interesting to you and your research, especially since this is coming from the Balch, which is very local history and genealogy oriented. So hopefully maybe these two platforms are interesting to you, and you think there's some cool ways that you can use them. Um, Laura, do we have any questions about Omeka while I still have the dashboard up?
We do, Stephanie. A couple great questions. So one that you kind of addressed, but this one's specifically directed to you. Do you, Stephanie, offer day or several day workshops in both Tropy and Omeka?
I do, but those you have to pay me for. So I will do. As an independent scholar, I am an independent Omeka and Tropy tutorial person. Yeah, that's real good language there, Stephanie. You can tell it's getting towards the tutorial and I haven't had enough caffeine yet. But anyway, I do offer much longer workshops on each software. So if you are interested in that, if you are a teacher and would like to see it in your classroom, depending on what you're interested in, I'm available to do any kind of workshop you may be interested in, depending on what it is, goes between free or a specific rate. So it's really what you're interested in.
Okay, great. So another question that is sort of a setting up question. Is it fairly easy or even possible to migrate a WordPress.com blog over to Emeka?
Sort of, kind of, yes and no, which I know is a hard question. So, it depends on what your tech level is. There are applications you can use that can transfer some of the information from your WordPress site over to Omeka. But if you have have a WordPress website, you can add Omeka to it. And let me show you what I mean by that. So right here, this is my sandbox, right? This is Little Odd Histories. This is an Omeka site. But you see it comes from stephanieandseal.com. So if I take off this sandbox and bring you to stephanieandseal.com, come on. This is a WordPress site. This is where you have my dissertation blog, my personal blog, where you can read all sorts of different things because that's what WordPress is good for, is blog. So you can actually add on Omeka to WordPress. So I'll go back to Sandbox real quick. Yeah, and here we are. So if you wanted to, you could actually make these websites look similar and see if you actually go back to stephanieandseal.com. I could create up here one that talks about, say, look, I've got my courses here, my portfolios, but I could actually have one that says Little Odd History Sandbox or exhibits. And people could click on that and it would immediately bring them to my sandbox site. So if you don't necessarily want to give up your WordPress site, I don't blame you. I didn't want to give mine up either. You can actually have both under the same domain name. You would just have to, play around with linking them to each other to make sure they talk to each other really well. This one's kind of standalone just because it was for school. So, it doesn't really go back to my Stephanie Steele websites that we just added that today. So, you can work with it in that. If you enjoy your WordPress, if you've had a lot of experience using it and you just want to add on Omeka, that's definitely an option for you.
Okay, great. A really good sort of different question. So someone has family photos, papers, and genealogical records that they plan to eventually donate to an archive. Would it be advisable to publish images of future donations on a Omeka website if you haven't, made any agreements with repositories? Would archives be unhappy that the materials have been published?
That's actually a good question for you, Laura.
I
I
know.
was about to say, I was like, I think it depends on the archive for sure. Laura, you've got the better answer for that because you accept donations. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it would be an issue. I think from our point of view, or from my point of view, I would be interested in if we could have the website donated
Oh,
to us as
yeah.
well, especially if you put a lot of information, background, metadata, and into that site. I think it's the same thing with authors who have published books using their personal collections prior to donation. That's great information, and we'd be happy to have it, I imagine. Yeah, I mean, I don't foresee that being an issue as long
That's
as you're
good.
upfront about it with the repository.
Yeah, make sure the repository knows for sure. But that's a really good question because I'd never actually thought about that. But yeah, if you're posting stuff online, maybe if you have a repository in mind that you would like to donate to, have a conversation with them before and see if they would have any issues with it. But yeah, that's great.
Oh, sounds like a good idea. And then we have a teacher, I think, who is asking, do you have any advice about setting up a student setting up your site so students can create exhibits there, or is there a good resource maybe that you can point people to for using Omeka in the classroom?
Yes, I actually do it all the time. And that's kind of what this website it was for. Now, this one was for undergraduates, but it works just as well K through 12 because like I told you before, I'm working with a ninth grade class in Poplarville right now on Mississippi history doing some Omeka projects. So usually what you would do as the teacher is set up your website. So it could either be yourdomainname.com or it could be the name of your class.com. You would upload Omeka, and up here at the very top, when you go to the dashboard, you have users. Yeah, leave it. It's going to ask you questions like that. It's fine. I don't think I saved that. Look how many users I have in here, guys. These are all of the people. Yes, I've got 3 pages. These are all people who have gone into my workshops and used this website as a workshop. Before this morning, I had a million different little test exhibits that they'd worked on in workshops. But what you do is you'd add a user and you would just add in each student at a time. You give them a username, a display name. I usually do like S. Walters, display name Stephanie Walters, the email address where they're going to get the invitation from, the role you want to give them. This is important. Contributor. Admin and super means that they've got big time control of your website. So if they wanted to go and change the theme, I love my K through 12 students, but they can get a little squirrely and a little excited and try to change your website. You don't want them to do that. You just want them to be able to contribute items and create exhibits. So you'd make them a contributor and you would send them that invitation. Now I will say as a reminder, write this down if you're interested in it. But it almost always the invitation will go to their junk mail. I have no idea why. I know Mecca has tried to work that out for years. But if you do send out an invitation to a student, or even say if you're not doing this in their class, you want to invite family members to contribute, tell them to check their junk mail because I guarantee you that's where that invitation is going, unfortunately. So that's how you would add it. And then usually what I do is I ask, yep, leave because I don't want to save that is I ask each student to create their own exhibit. Now you have to have items, they'll have to upload items and that's fine, but they'll create their exhibit right here. And so each of these, is a different one. But it works really well. And I will say for both K-12 and also for undergraduates, this is a phenomenal alternative to a traditional research paper. Kids more and more have to interact online, whether they like to or not. And this is a great way to not only teach them how to do historical research, but how to have an appropriate online presence. Because writing on Facebook versus writing in an academic blog or an academic website like this is very different. They have to learn that online professional voice. And this is a great way to get them interested in history, interested in actual items that are photographs and just really cool, but it's also teaching them how to interact online and what's appropriate to publish online. So if you are interested in alternatives to the traditional research paper, I highly recommend something like an Omeka project. And of course, to my teacher or teachers and the group who are interested, I have a step-by-step guide for how to create an Omeka that I'm sending to Laura and Nora. And I know when they share this recorded link with you guys, I think at the end of the week or next week, that PDF will come with that too. And also if you have any questions, I almost always do K through 12 work pro bono. So if you have any questions or would even like me to visit a classroom, I'm more than happy to do so. Anything else?
Sorry, I lost my cursor.
Oh, you're fine.
Very, very, very technical here. I think that is all the questions that we had about Omeka. We have some general questions. Do you want to go ahead and address those,
Oh,
or?
sure.
Okay. Well, actually, to go back to Tropy, there was a question that I missed. That's a good one. Is the information in Tropy printable?
Yes, it is. Now I will say that I have never actually myself printed anything out in Tropy, so I can't tell you if the format's really pretty, but knowing the folks at Tropy, they probably did a good job of creating those PDFs. But yes, there is like a print function, and it will print out the metadata and the transcription and the image.
Okay, great. Um, so we did have a more general question about the idea of transcribing.
Mhm.
This person was questioning, the term transcribing, and I think that a lot of digital humanities projects use transcribing as like a catch-all term for transcription and things like that. Could you talk just a little bit more about using Tropy for transcription, and then also how you can incorporate that into Omeka, or if Omeka has tools that maybe you could share a transcription project?
Yes. So for Tropy, the transcription aspect of Tropy is more so for yourself, and for your research. Or if you're just trying to have a place that's really nice where you can see that image really well and you can transcribe the documents right in front of you. And then if you know you copy and paste it, put it into a Word document, send it to a friend. I mean, that's a way you can do it. But the transcription aspect of Tropy for me is phenomenal because once you start typing out the document, it becomes searchable. And so for your own research, say I am trying to find my reverends, or I'm trying to say, like, let's say, John Agnew was from Portsmouth, Virginia, and I didn't tag it as Portsmouth, Virginia, but in his loyalist claim, he says that's where he's from. That's automatically searchable now. So that's why the transcription aspect of Tropy is so important. Now for Omeka, Omeka actually does have a plugin. It is a little bit more advanced, but it's called Scripto. So if some of you are a little bit more into the DH world and you would like to create or turn your website into a place to have crowdsourced transcriptions, or if you want someone to come in, like say you have a family member who's interested in transcribing it online, that is a great place to do it. What would happen is there'd be a little Scripto button, probably right here under exhibits, and when you would go under an item, I don't have it uploaded on here, but let's just pretend that this had text with it. Once you went on the website, it would have a little portal where you would transcribe and be able to save. I haven't worked a lot with Scripto, but I do know that as the administrator, you would have the ability to accept the transcription before it goes public and live. So that's a really interesting aspect of that. Now, we'll say, let's go War Depart. I think, hold on, let me Google it real quick. Papers of the War Department. Okay, so this is now a Scripto project, and this is using Omeka. This is awesome. If I have any military historians out there interested in the early republic, the War Department actually burned down in 1800, so there were 10 years of War Department documents that went with it. And this is a collection that's basically finding copies and other people's collections of things that would have been in the War Department papers to like rebuild this burned down archive. So it's actually really cool. But here are some transcriptions in progress. Look, they have it online. This is an Omeka exhibit. Look, here's our metadata. That should look familiar to you. You can click on it. Yep, here's all our cool metadata. I want to transcribe this document. I want to transcribe this. And here it goes. And so your user would be able to come in here and I would not even try to do that right now. I'm not even wearing my correct glasses. But you would be able to transcribe here, and there's even a place down here where you can leave like some kind of notes. So if something's wrong with the document or you're having trouble seeing something, you'd be able to, yeah, summarize your changes. That's where it is. So you'd be able to put that here. So this is an example of what Scripto would look like. Yeah, see, even says it at the top. Would look like on an Omeka site. Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's really pretty cool. And I think that a lot of the online transcription projects that people may be familiar with through like Library Virginia, or oh, now I can't think of
Um,
any of them.
Library of
Um,
Virginia uses Scripto.
yeah, I think
Mhm.
that this looks familiar to you if you use those resources, which is great to know that that's not too difficult to learn how to incorporate.
Yeah.
Um, Cool. So a sort of continuation on following up with that. In Tropy, you showed the article with your grandfather,
Hmm.
the newspaper article. So you were actually creating a transcription of that in there. The Tropy's not retyping it.
No,
Tropy's
no.
not creating that through OCR, so it doesn't actually have an incorporated OCR feature,
Yeah,
right?
that right there, that was me. So I was the one typing this, and that's because OCR, so like I said before, it stands for optical character recognition. It's kind of like the software that Google uses. So if there's like a newspaper, Google will try to read that information. And if you've ever seen a transcription from OCR, it's not really good because any of these little smudges in here will mess OCR up. And so it'll read that O as an A. So it'll say working instead of working. So there's usually a lot of errors in there. So this is a way right here. What I would want to transcribe this in Tropy is 100% for search purposes. So I could go in here and, like I said before, find counts. Yep, see, it's already coming up. Didn't even finish the word counselor, and there was Pawpaw. So for me, it, helps me organize my information and be able to search it. But no, you have to go in there and type it yourself.
Okay. Be really cool if they could figure out how to do
Oh yeah, well there's actually yeah, there is an effort to try to get something like Tropy to be able to read these things. One of the coolest digital humanities projects out there right now is actually, oh gosh, it's either out of Germany or France. I can't remember, but it's called Transcribus or Transcribus, depending on who you talk to. But it is supposed to be a transcription tool that if you have a document collection written by one person, so say if it's like a diary or a collection of diaries from one person, you transcribe 3 or 4 of the pages and you upload it into the computer, and all of a sudden the computer starts to learn that person's handwriting and it will transcribe the rest for you.
Yeah, that is a really cool project.
Yeah, I'm
And
I need that to happen. Yeah, you guys saw my loyalist claims. I would be so excited if that existed. Or if that was ready to go because holy moly, I could use it.
uh, okay, well, we have a few more minutes, so if anyone else out there has questions for Stephanie about either Omeka or Tropy or anything else we've discussed, feel free to put in there. And while we're waiting, I'll just share your hunting photo got some love, Stephanie.
That
Someone says it's a classic treasure and wants to know if you have framed it.
Oh, I have not only framed it, I blew it up to a 32 by 24 canvas and it is in my living room. I am obsessed with that. My husband loves that picture. He's a hunter. And that's actually like in a pheasant trip, which if you've ever been to Alabama, there are no pheasant hunting places anymore. So that's true early 20th century. It is incredible. I have another one of her that I didn't put into Tropy, but she's my great grandmother still in that outfit, and she's on a horse with a rifle, and it is everything. So yeah, I
Fantastic.
appreciate I'm glad that it's not just my family who appreciates that incredible picture.
You seem to have a lot of great pictures and in your
I
family archive. So
I am incredibly blessed. My grandmother's side of the family, I don't know what was up, but they were avid picture takers and also avid hoarders. Like, I'm thrilled to death they didn't throw this kind of stuff away. But we've got daguerreotypes. We only have three daguerreotypes, but I mean, how many families even have one? And we have all sorts of these cool images from the early 20th century. I've got some of my great grandmother in her swimming cap and her wool swimsuit on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. I mean, there's so many cool photographs like that. So my poor house looks like a museum. My husband says one day he'll get his family photos in here, but until then, it's all seal stuff.
yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, well, I think I join many people who've put in the chat. Thank you very much, Stephanie, for your time and for sharing this really interesting information and walking us through these two really great tools. I'm for one have learned a lot about Tropy and Omeka, and I'm excited to go and play around with them a little bit. Um, I think if anyone else has questions that you didn't get in the chat, if you'd like to email us or Stephanie, we are happy to help. So please do. And thank you very much, Stephanie.
No problem. Thank you guys so much. I had a great time. All of you stay safe and stay healthy. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us today. And we will be sending out, as we've said a couple times, the video of the program along with the slides. So yeah, if be in touch, and we do have some excellent programs coming up, particularly if you have family archive and photograph collections. So please consider joining us virtually in October for Preservation for Home Archives with Gabrielle Sanchez. It is an excellent program if you're looking at preserving your family collections, and then in November for Identification and Care of Photographs with me. Um, so we look forward to hopefully seeing you again soon. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.